Imagine a perfectly normal morning in the year 2026. You wake up, you grab your coffee, you look out the window, everything seems totally peaceful. But beneath the surface of that quiet morning, every single convenience surrounding you is powered by world-altering and, quite frankly, slightly unsettling technology. The world has fundamentally shifted. We're no longer just building tools, we are rebuilding reality, biology, and the very concept of privacy from the ground up. Think about the peace of that quiet morning for a second. Now, imagine a reality where unseen cameras and sensors might literally be listening to your very thoughts, or at least the physical manifestations of them. The boundary between your internal monologue and the outside world is basically disappearing. So, what happens to our society when the physical space we live in is constantly mapped, simulated, and monitored by systems we barely even realize are there? Okay, let's dive into Section 1, Life in the Near Future. The digital realm is aggressively bleeding into our physical spaces. Remember looking out your window on that 2026 morning? Well, NVIDIA's LRA 2.0 system doesn't just see a flat 2D street view photo of your neighborhood. It literally dreams up a perfectly consistent, fully explorable 3D model of that environment. It can hallucinate the exact geometry of your house from a simple picture, creating this incredible 3D digital playground. Now, just picture autonomous delivery robots running thousands of simulated training laps up your specific front steps in a digital twin of your neighborhood before they ever physically arrive. Your physical world is now a permanent training ground. And speaking of those robots, they are getting terrifyingly fast. 57 minutes. To put that into perspective, that is the new half marathon record, beaten by a full 7 minutes. But the crazy part? It wasn't beaten by a human. It was absolutely crushed by a bipedal robot developed in China, running entirely on electricity with just unbelievable agility and balance. When humanoid robots can effortlessly outrun us in long-distance endurance events, the physical labor market and our everyday interactions with machines are completely redefined. So the machines can simulate our homes and outrun us. Let's shift to Section 2, the end of privacy, and evaluate what this means for our personal liberty. We are looking at the death of silent thought. Let's walk through this process because it's equal parts amazing and terrifying. Even when you make absolutely zero sound, your body is still broadcasting your hidden words. When you just mutter to yourself, tiny muscles and skin in your neck still form the hidden physical patterns of those words. Right now, AI models using wearable sensors can track those micro movements, perfectly predict the exact words you meant to say, and synthesize them out loud. It's a brilliant accessibility tool for sure, but the implications for everyday privacy are just staggering. And you might be wondering, why does this matter so much? Because very soon, those clunky wearable sensors won't even be necessary. The trajectory of omnipresent watchers is wild. Ultra-high-resolution cameras reading lips in a crowded plaza, LiDAR tracking, AI mapping your movements literally just by how your body bounces Wi-Fi signals around a room. The whole concept of being truly alone is evaporating. The simple act of muttering to yourself in an empty room, or maybe eventually even thinking intensely, will no longer be private. Ubiquitous surveillance is just becoming a passive feature of the environment itself. Welcome to Section 3, Redefining Life and Money, where our fundamental biological and financial systems are being rebuilt from the ground up. Let's go back to that perfectly normal morning in 2026. What exactly are you having for breakfast? Well, we are now looking at $100,000 per pound lab-grown salmon. And to be clear, this isn't a plant substitute, it's real salmon, grown from cells in warm nutrient baths and structured around plant-based scaffolds. The contrast here is fascinating, right? On one hand, it's a total utopian dream, completely ethical meat, zero ocean damage, no mercury, no microplastics. On the other hand, there is a distinct, almost Jurassic Park-level weirdness to eating premium meat grown in a 3D Petri dish. It completely challenges our fundamental relationship with nature. And we aren't just hacking our food anymore, we are actually overwriting human biology. Take the incredible story of a Norwegian man who lived with HIV for 14 years. He needed a stem cell transplant for a separate bone marrow issue, and he received cells from a donor with a rare mutation that actually blocks HIV. His entire immune system was replaced. After testing 65 million T cells, doctors found absolutely zero intact virus. Biology is no longer a fixed destiny. It's basically becoming a codebase that we can edit, replace, and cure. Now, what's really interesting about this timeline is just how quickly foundational systems can break. While we're out here editing DNA, quantum computers are threatening to crack decentralized finance wide open. When you send Bitcoin, your public key sits exposed for about 10 minutes. Well, a recent paper involving Google Quantum AI showed that a powerful enough quantum computer could calculate your private key in just 9 minutes. That leaves exactly a 1-minute window for an attacker to fake the transaction and steal the funds in real time. Decades of financial infrastructure could potentially collapse in a brutally tight 1-minute window. Yet, for all our amazing ability to hack DNA and digital money in minutes, it's kind of humbling to realize we still don't even know what the universe is actually made of. Taking a quick detour into dark matter, we have the Alina tensor framework suggesting there is no missing dark matter at all, and that rotational motion and pressure simply create extra gravity. Or, alternatively, the theory that dark matter is actually tiny primordial black holes that somehow survived a cosmic bounce from a universe that existed before our Big Bang. We're mastering our immediate physical world, yet we might just be living in the leftovers of a cosmic collapse we barely understand. All right, let's elevate the stakes to Section 4, the geopolitics of AI weapons. This brings us to a highly controversial manifesto by Palantir CEO Alex Karp. He argues that Silicon Valley owes a massive moral debt to the United States and its allies. There is a huge, organized push right now for tech companies to stop exclusively building consumer apps and to actively pivot toward building software for national defense. To really understand this shift, we have to redefine the concept of hard power. In the 21st century, hard power isn't just about ships and tanks anymore. It is fundamentally built on software and AI-driven weapon systems. A totally new era of global deterrence built on AI is already kicking off. The geopolitical reality is pretty cold and analytical. Whoever builds and implements these autonomous, highly intelligent systems first ultimately controls the outcome on the global stage. The Palantir Manifesto lays this out starkly. It calls for a rebellion against what they call the tyranny of the apps to prepare for this new era of AI deterrence. It even goes so far as to suggest considering mandatory national service to ensure everyone shares the risk of war, and pushes for Silicon Valley to actively share data with the government to fight violent crime. It's a profound ethical dilemma for us. On one hand, you have the truly terrifying prospect of building AI weapons, but on the other hand, you have the tragedy of the commons. If you pause your development, your geopolitical adversaries definitely will not. So, with all these looming global threats, we arrive at Section 5, preserving our human connection. And this brilliantly illustrates how we psychologically cope in this intense world. The irony is so often found in our escapes. Look at cozy games intended for pure relaxation, like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. The intended experience is comfort in simple tasks, right? But underneath, there is a hidden transactional system. Friendships are being tracked with invisible scoreboards. You're implicitly trained to optimize your relationships, giving the exact right gifts to trigger the right digital rewards. Even in our safe, adorable digital escapes, genuine human connection is turned into a gamified, measurable metric. And as our social lives become more and more entangled with AI, the guardrails have to evolve alongside us. AI image generators can easily hide offensive text inside seemingly innocent memes because older safety systems only looked at pixels, not the actual context. Now, systems like ToxicBench are training AI to actively read and understand the hidden meaning of words tucked inside images. The machines are literally having to learn the dark context of our jokes and insults just to keep our digital society relatively safe. But hey, amidst all of this heavy stuff, there is incredible cause for optimism and awe for our human longevity. Scientists are currently testing a literal nasal spray that rewinds brain aging. It's amazing. You inhale the spray, and tiny biological packets enter immune cells directly inside your brain. They instantly shut down the pathways driving chronic inflammation and actively restore the mitochondria. In early lab studies, memory and cognitive sharpness were rapidly restored. We are legitimately looking at the potential for humans to live for hundreds of years with incredibly sharp, healthy minds. Which brings us to the ultimate question. If this nasal spray works and we really are granted centuries of life, what kind of life is it going to be? As you sip that coffee on a future morning, navigating a world of ubiquitous silent surveillance, geopolitical AI deterrence, and friendships that have been optimized into transactions, how will you protect your fundamental, genuine human connection? The future is arriving way faster than we can process. Stay curious, stay connected, and think deeply about your place in it. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and we'll see you in the next one.